They say when a baby is born, so is a mother. But while you are there to help your baby grow into the person he or she is meant to be, who is there to help you? Many women feel lost and alone when they become mothers, wondering, who am I now? Sometimes it feels like the transformation from woman to mother is as radical as a caterpillar's transformation into a butterfly. Did you know that inside the chrysalis, the caterpillar literally turns into goop before it rearranges itself into a butterfly? This podcast is about the goop, what soul transformation looks like as you transition from being a woman to a mom. Your baby's growth matters, but yours does too. You're not alone. I'm your host, Brittany Ming. Welcome to the Motherhood Metamorphosis. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Motherhood Metamorphosis. I'm your host, Brittany Ming, and today we're talking to Kirstyn Wegner. Kirstyn lives in rural Minnesota with her high school sweetheart husband and neurodivergent daughter, along with a bunch of feral cats, a revolving cast of foster children, and a pesky epilepsy diagnosis. She is a recovering pessimist who teaches high school English, collects old books, directs plays and musicals, loves rock concerts, travels as widely as time and budget will allow, and writes when she can find the time. So welcome, Kirstyn. So happy to have you on today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I love your story in the little bit that we've chatted before the podcast and before we started today. And I'd love to hear about your journey of becoming a mom through foster care and some of the unique relationships that you've developed through your foster care journey.
Yeah, when we got married, I wanted 5 kids. I thought that would be wonderful. I grew up in a family of 4, and I always wished I really liked my siblings a lot. And I wished my parents had more, actually, because I really enjoy my family. We're really blessed in that way. So I thought, 5 kids, perfect. And we started trying, and it wasn't happening. And after I was diagnosed with epilepsy, I did leave my teaching job, and almost immediately the door opened, and we got our first foster placement. My husband and I are not able to have children, and he decided that this would be something that would be worthwhile. And I thought it was so beautiful that he had that desire. So we just, started the process of licensure. And yeah, we had our first placement very soon after we were approved. And it was a 17-year-old boy, and he was mute. He suffered from mutism because of some of the traumas he had suffered. Um, and he was with us. He was only supposed to be there for a couple days because they were waiting for an opening at a facility. And he stayed, and he was so quiet, and he was very big. He was almost intimidating looking. He had a really thick beard, and he was tall and broad. And but our dog loved him instantly, and that was very usually dogs are pretty good judge of character. So he stayed one night, and then when his social worker came to pick him up, he asked her if he could just stay. And we were, we'd never done this before. So we just like, sure, okay, you can stay. And yeah, and things just kind of slowly grew and evolved. And he's 26 now,
So
I think.
did you adopt him?
No, in order for us to adopt, the parents have to relinquish their rights. And his
Okay.
mother did not want him in her home, but would not relinquish her rights. And
Okay.
at 17, his birthday was in a few months. His birthday was in August, and we got him in June.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, yeah, a lot of times the kids we get, because of their age, adoption, a lot of times it's such a long process that it doesn't always get to happen. And I mean,
Yeah.
we knew that foster care is designed to reunite biological families. It is. That's the purpose of it. You're a temporary home while the family gets a chance to kind of get their act together, and the goal is reunification. It
Yes.
doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. So we kind of went into it with that mindset, like, okay, you're with us for a time. Uh, he's still around though, and he's not mute anymore. He calls frequently, and he is living on his own. He has learned how to just be with his family in a way that's healthy, or healthier anyway. And he's learned about like setting boundaries and standing up for himself and not letting people take advantage of him. So it's been really gratifying to see that transformation. And he joins us for vacations and holidays. So I mean, he's adopted in here. Like in my heart, he's mine. But yeah, it was never unfortunately made legal, but I mean, I have heard him say that he wishes it could have been,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of red tape, I think, that isn't worth the time when the kids are that old.
Yeah.
So,
So
and a lot of
you,
times people don't want to take in teenagers either. That's the other thing. Um, we said no one under the age of 10, and usually people want younger kids. And I've done respite for some younger kids, and it's just not my cup of tea. I would rather have the teenagers, even when they're difficult. So the daughter we adopted, um, she was the second one we had, and we got her when she was 7, and she was in another foster home in the county for and it was their first time being foster parents, and I don't think they understood how challenging it would be. So they kind of called us and just said, this isn't working out. Can she stay with you for a while until we figure out another plan? And um, they brought her to our house, and I just looked at her and, oh man, she just she still has like the most beautiful eyes. Um, she was just so sweet and cute. And yep, they dropped her off the day before my birthday. And yep, she's been here ever since. So
and how old is she now?
she is 16. So yeah.
So 7 to 16. So she's been with you like 9 years.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a long
And
time. So
yeah.
how did your journey with her move from fostering to adoption? Because she is your adopted daughter right now.
Yes. Yep. We adopted her a few years in. We kind of knew straight up when they asked if we would take her in. They just said, her parents really struggle, and it's likely adoption will be on the table. Are you interested? And we said yes. And so and that was really hard actually, because we couldn't have our own kids, and I wanted desperately to keep her, and but so did her biological mom, and she had so much time to get clean, and if she didn't, they were going to terminate rights. And it was 6 months, and it was like 5 months and 3 weeks in, she checked into treatment.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And she didn't do anything prior to that, nothing, and neither one of her parents showed up to any of the court hearings or anything. So we thought, okay, I didn't want to get my hopes up, but I was just like, okay, this will be easy and she'll be ours. And all of a sudden her mom decided to get clean. And I mean, she had done treatment a few other times, so we weren't really expecting it to stick, but it did. And that extended the process about a year, actually, because she needed to get a job, and she needed to prove that she could like live in a stable place and actually take care of a child. So um yeah, and then the fight began, I guess. Fight's maybe the wrong word, because after her mom got clean, she changed radically. She was more rational. When she was using, she was very difficult to deal with.
Because you had your little foster daughter, she had visitation with your mom, right?
Yes. Yep. Like I said, foster care is designed to reunite, you know. So she had visitation all along. And a lot of times her mom missed them and didn't show, which was really heartbreaking to watch, to have her come home and she didn't come. She didn't come. Or,
Yeah.
you know, yeah. So it was just really crushing to watch these people that she desperately wanted to love her just repeatedly let her down.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when her mom checked into treatment, I can't say I was expecting it to take, but it did. And she's been relatively clean ever since. She's had a couple relapses, but I think she's finally gotten to the point where she doesn't want that anymore. And I
Yeah.
think she has seen the damage it's caused. And she did go through the 12 steps and she did make restitution. She came and apologized. And, I believe her. We've had several conversations just about prior to the adoption when she was contemplating voluntarily giving up her rights because that was better for her. If her rights were terminated, I think there were different legal repercussions for her. I don't remember exactly what they were, but it was better for her to voluntarily terminate. And then after that, visitation was up to us, and we always felt like it should be up to our daughter. Like we would just kind of let her steer on that. Like if she wants to see her mom, if she can ask, and we'll try to respect that. And we have, like, she'll ask like, "Hey, I really miss her. Can I see her?" And they just recently started doing overnight visits, and that's been really really exciting for her to experience. So I mean, I would say they don't have like a mother-daughter relationship. They have more like a maybe an aunt and niece kind of relationship, which I mean, I think it's probably as good as it can possibly be. We've been really fortunate that she's been so easy to work with, or that she recognized that it would be hard for her to do this in the position she was in. She was single and or or maybe coming out of a really rough relationship. And she just, she and I had similar health struggles. She has epilepsy and so do I. And um, that was something we kind of strangely bonded over.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then later on we found out um, that I guess I could say our daughter, so I mean we
Mm-hmm.
all kind of share her, um, has autism. And I had assumed we knew something wasn't right developmentally. She wasn't meeting milestones, and we didn't know what it was. And whenever there's an adoption out of foster care, a lot of the times the county workers will recommend, take them to the adoption medicine clinic, and they can try to check for things, or like if there was drug use during the pregnancy, or other things, other signs they can look for. And they couldn't give us a conclusive diagnosis, but they gave us a bunch of smaller things. And it took a few years, but eventually my teaching background, I'd worked with a few kids with autism, and I kind of went, no, I think she meets this criteria. She really struggled with communication. That was the big thing, the communication barrier. And I'm sure you can relate to that. Like, I love language and words and expression. And then to have a child who struggles to use language and to express was really difficult.
Yeah,
But
it feels almost extra frustrating because you want to communicate so much, and then there's
yeah,
something in the way. There's just something, it's so hard to put your finger on to be like, what is it? Like, why can we not connect? So, yeah, your intuition was
yeah.
right.
And that was just really, really tough. But the older she gets, and the more exposed she is to different things, her interests have broadened a little bit. Because that was the other thing too. Her interests were so specific, and she knew so much about birds and rocks and like things like a 7-year-old would not know. She seemed to she just soaked it up. And then there were other things too, those uneven skills. She was so knowledgeable in this area, and then it took her years to be able to read a clock or to handle money. So and a lot of that, like her mom had uncontrolled seizures while pregnant, and the neurologist that she had told her to watch for signs of autism as our daughter progressed. And she didn't tell us that until I asked about it. And then she went, "Oh yeah, they told me to watch for that." And so I don't know if it slipped her mind or if she just didn't know enough about it. But once the pieces started to click into place, it became very obvious to me. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Mm-hmm.
And I became pretty convinced that this was it. And I pursued um doctors' opinions, and I had two specialists say, yeah, she does have this condition. So Minnesota has a great social services program. It really does. And we've gotten a lot of help, which is wonderful. And she just recently, we hired a PCA for her.
Mm-hmm.
Just been so good to help her with tasks like cooking, and the PCA is just a few years older than her too, so they just really connect. And this girl also has autism, and she's really high functioning, but they share that.
That's
And
really
so it's been
special. I like
really,
that. I love that.
really beautiful to watch them connect and share time together and work on skills. And she is 16. She's expressed interest in driving. So, uh, I'm hoping that this her little PCA can kind of help her with the driver's ed portion. She just got her license herself because yeah, she's also epileptic. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. All these people coming into your lives here, like, oh, wow,
Yeah,
you
it's
share these
I
similar
know
stories.
yeah, the Venn diagram is it's pretty
So,
wild.
as you're talking about her biological mom, I'm hearing like you have a pretty unique connection to her, or she's in a unique relationship in your life that maybe most foster parents and adoptive parents don't share. Can you speak to more of that relationship and how it's been a special one as your daughter has been with you so long?
Yeah. At first it was almost antagonistic. And it was well, in court it was kind of a battle. It was, where's she going to end up?
Mm-hmm.
And we both wanted her. And it it was really hard because we were both, I would say, desperate to keep her. And she was doing everything that the county told her she needed to do to get her back. And it was just, I don't know, like one day I just asked her if we could talk. And I just tried to really listen to her story and where she had been, and kind of respect my daughter's connection to her. And that was, we just kind of had to put our differences aside and say, like, what's best for the child here. And um eventually we came to an understanding. And I just said, like, I don't want you out of her life. I don't. She wants you in her life. I'm not trying to replace you, but I don't think it would be good for her either to, she is a creature of routine, and she needs structure and stability, especially being an autistic child. And we didn't know that at the time. We found out about the autism, how many, 5 years after the adoption was So that wasn't even on the table yet, but and we just kind of came to respect each other. And we told her, we don't want this to be a closed adoption. And I think we're gonna just let her decide when she wants to see you. But all through the proceedings, you know our daughter would draw these pictures of, she didn't express her feelings well in words, but she's a fantastic artist, and she would draw things that were so articulate. It was really incredible. But she would draw like hearts that were like breaking apart, and she would draw like my picture on one side and Mama Jenny's picture on the other side, and question marks, and just, yeah. So it was really hard to navigate that. But I think since we were able to put our differences aside and see that this is probably what's best for her, uh, and it's been really good. And her mom kind of just said, I think this is for the best, and I want to be upfront with you. So if you have any questions about my past, I will answer them truthfully. And she has. Um, and they've been able to connect. And it's been really nice because her mom was not very present at all when she was young. Her mom actually gave up physical custody of her. So she was actually with her biological dad when she was removed.
Mm.
So her mom had been very absent. So I think she's kind of getting to know her for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And they do talk often. And, words are not her thing. So she's, they'll have phone conversations, but they're very quick. But that's just kind of how she is. She doesn't really talk a whole lot, but, there are things they do together that are special. And they love to go like thrift store shopping, or go to a movie, or stay home and watch a movie, and it's just been really good. And I really think that it's been good for all three of us actually to foster that relationship, and to just remember just that we're all human and worthy of like connecting with others. And those connections are very complex but deserve respect and honoring. So, yeah, her biological mom has been present at many milestones in her life. And actually, just a couple weeks ago, she went through a church retreat in the town where her mom lives. And we invited her mom to the closing ceremony. And we all sat together. But her mom has been really, like, she wants to be involved. She comes to her school things, and it's been really good.
I heard you say just a few moments ago that, you're fostering relationships. And, we use the term foster care to talk about children, but it's also like there are families involved in these
Yeah.
situations. It's not just the child. Like there are parents, there are grandparents, there are other family members. What do you think has helped you to be open-hearted and like open-handed in your relationship in foster care? Because I think a lot of times when people think, oh, I can never be a foster parent because one, I couldn't get that close to a child, or maybe two, they feel like the parental situation, the biological parent situation is so black and white, like a good guys or a bad guys thing. How do you think that you've learned to be open-hearted in that situation?
It's kind of a trial by fire thing. We have had biological parents who have been more black and white. So it was kind of a risk to approach this one in this way. But it's been good. And since then, we have tried to reach out to the parents, because I think it's good also for the kids to witness forgiveness, because a lot of times they don't see that in those dysfunctional homes. They don't understand forgiveness or like generosity of spirit. They just don't. And it's really sad and unfortunate. And they will not learn it unless it is modeled. So I think it's really important to model it. So we have done our best to do that. Like, even when it's hard, and a lot of times it's very awkward because they're just, I don't think you realize the level of dysfunction until you see it. Because I think it's just kind of invisible to a lot of us. And I think there's been a lot of, like, I've really had to learn some humility and just recognizing that, we're all people and everybody deserves love and respect. So we just have really tried to take in the child, but take in all the stuff that comes with the child.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, there's a messy family connected to that child. And the goal is not to sever ties or to say, our way is better. We've done our best to kind of learn about their experience and honor it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Mexican foster daughter right now, and we threw her a quinceañera. I think it was the whitest quinceañera ever. We didn't really know what we were signing on for, but many members of her family don't speak any English at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been very challenging. Because we need to find a translator a lot of times to have conversations with them, but they were very grateful that we did that for her, because I don't think it was something they were able to provide.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I think there's just a lot of healing that can happen when you just model that love, that big, all encompassing acceptance.
Yeah. How do you think that have you, as you've watched yourself grow as a mother, what are like the core qualities that you have found that you just lean into in your mothering experience?
Oh man, I think it's been really critical to just kind of remember where they came from. And I mean, I think it's really like in teaching, it's really easy to love the kids who come from functional homes and who don't struggle with their emotions or their behaviors. But I think there's something really beautiful and rewarding when you are able to care for those things and just kind of love the whole child.
Mm.
So I think that I know, like, I've been blessed with really good parents, and my mom was a teacher, and my dad probably should have been, but he wasn't. But he did direct plays and musicals. I actually inherited that job, so now it's mine. But he did it for 33 years, and he would always see potential, no matter what crap of kids he got, or what leftover scraps of lumber he had. He could always make it into something beautiful.
Mm.
And I just think that that's like the best gift he could have given me,
Mm-hmm.
is to just see potential where others maybe don't look
Mm. I
or
love
don't
that.
want to look or
I
won't.
love that metaphor. That's really beautiful. Because when you
Yeah, I'm
have
getting
the,
like teary eyed.
yeah,
I love my dad.
no,
He's
that is really wonderful. And
uh,
I know even in my motherhood story, all my children are my biological children. But when you meet your child, you've never met this little person before. You don't know who they are going to become. For me, my first two children were born prematurely. They had a lot of problems in utero, being twins and having a lot of complications during my pregnancy. And as they grew up, we learned that they did have some neurological differences, having autism and ADHD and learning disabilities. And learning about those things was really hard, and it changed the way I thought my motherhood story was going to go. So sometimes I think being generous and looking for potential even happens with our own biological children, because we think we know how this story's going to go, but we really don't. And so like having that open-heartedness, I think, can serve us all.
Yeah, I think it's what society needs more of, and I don't even think society is aware of how important it is, or how, I guess, even the kids who do come from well-adjusted homes, like teaching, they still need
Hmm.
that
Yeah, we
potential.
all need that.
Or like somebody to say like you are worth something. You are good enough. I see good in you. I think you can achieve this. Like, it's people are hungry for it.
Hmm.
Everybody, I think, is hungry for it. And I don't think people um say that enough to anybody. I just think that's something that needs to happen like across the board in society. I think the world would be a much better place if those types of things were acknowledged.
Yeah. So I love to ask this question as we're ending our interview and thinking not just about kids, but about potential foster moms. What would you tell a new foster mom as she's starting out her foster journey? And what kind
Oh,
of encouragement could you give her?
hold on, it gets better.
Mm.
In the beginning, the kid does not want to be with you. And that's hard. That's really hard. They don't want to be there. They were taken from the place that is comfortable to them. Even if it's dysfunctional, it's still home. And they just desperately want to go back. So hold on. Don't try to replace what they have. Like, try to come alongside it, and just, walk with them through whatever. The first boy we had, I don't remember, he got really upset one time, and he just walked out of the house. We live in the middle of nowhere, and he just started walking, and it was snowing. And we live in Minnesota. I mean, it's not warm here. It's cold. And he just, stomped out and started walking down the highway. And my husband went, and he went after him, and he drove alongside him, and they were gone for several hours. But it took a lot of that kind of thing. Oh, it's water on rocks, I guess, just kind of slowly eroding that hard shell that they have. You kind of have to prove yourself. You have to earn the love, which is hard because I think biological parents, like, it's just there.
Hmm.
As soon as that baby's put on your chest, it's there. And when you're a foster mom, you have to work for it. You do.
Hmm.
But if you're willing to put in the work, um, it's rewarding in such a strangely beautiful way.
Hmm. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think hearing about just the challenges you've gone through and also the beautiful parts of your story with your daughter and her biological mom, I'm really thankful that you came on today. So, to end our time, I have a question that's just for you. What are you doing to enjoy your life this week?
This week, well, I am going out for dinner with my one of my childhood friends. We've recently reconnected. Her husband farms too, so the boys can chat about that. And she and I have years of history from our youth, and we're gonna go out and just celebrate. Her dad passed, and we're just gonna, try to celebrate his life. So it's just really, really good. You know, it was really hard when I couldn't drive, when I lost my driver's license, and I realized how important, like, human connections were, because that happened way before COVID. And I know how shocking that was to the world, but for me, I was like, I've prepared for this. I've been training for this. So I really try to connect with the people who are really important to me, and a lot of times that involves, trips to other states. uh, a lot of my college friends live very far away, so yeah, I think really, really important. I'm so looking forward to that date. And yeah, we're going to do an escape room. I think that'll be
Oh, fun. I hope
really
you guys have
fun.
a really
Yeah.
good time. Well, thank you,
Yeah.
Kirstyn. I'm so glad you came on today.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Motherhood Metamorphosis. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel so you never miss an episode. Next, tell your friends. Podcasts are a slow growth type of social media, so promo works best when it's from person to person. If you know another mom who's in the goop right now, send her a text of encouragement and the link to the episode that is speaking to your heart right now. If you have a story about your own matrescence, the physical, emotional, hormonal, and social transition that occurs when someone becomes a mother, please leave a comment below. I want this channel to be a place where women can build community about the challenges and joys of their own motherhood metamorphosis. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope it encouraged you and gave you some good food for thought. If you ever have any questions, comments, or you'd like to reach out to me personally, you can email me at brittanyaming@gmail.com. Come here. All right, we cannot. All right, here you go. Now listen. Do you want to say hi?
Hi.
This is Grace. Hope get down. Okay, and the dog came in too. Everybody's coming in. All right, here. You take this. Now remember, I'm in my meeting, so don't interrupt, okay? Okay, take the dog out. Hope, you need to go out. Go out. The dog's like, hello, I'm coming in too.